Oh boy, I'm feeling a little bit puny today. A friend of mine told me to take the day off, and I'm trying. It's raining, and my gut is a little upset. My blood pressure's been up and down, and I collapsed last night. Too much stress. Trying to get this angle right. I should be looking at the camera right there, I guess. It's just hard for me to look at the black end of the where the camera is. It's such a small opening. I was going to do a series on sugar babies to try to attract female subscribers and also to help out the younger women so they could avoid some of the problems. I'm going to do that anyway, even though it feels kind of awkward. But you need to understand something. The relationship between men and women is an all-time low. It's not much different than race relations, is it? Come to think of it. Yeah, Barack Obama destroyed race relations. Joe Biden's continuing it. Everybody's got to be at everybody's throats, and the men and women are at each other's throats. And come to think of it, that's what happened in the garden. Men and women were at each other's throats. Why? Why was that? Well, because Eve, the woman, was deceived and the man was not. Okay, the New Testament tells us that Eve was deceived and the man was not. What does that mean? Well, the general assumption is that in the next chapter, when Eve announces that with the help of God, she's got a man-child, that she's pulling one over on Adam. Basically saying, God's the father of her child. So what we think is that Eve, when she was seduced by the serpent, thought she was engaging in sexual relations with God. She got hoodwinked. She was deceived, and as a result, she became a deceiver, and she basically cuckolded Adam. Now, the evidence of that is the fact that the one boy killed the other boy. You know, that's a pretty tough kind of love, isn't it? Murdering your half-brother. It does seem to me that family feuding is more the norm than families getting along. I've seen some families that get along. They are pretty rare, and they do pretty well. They really do. But we don't get along anymore at almost any level in our society, and so men are going their own way. And you couldn't use the word MGTOW on YouTube a year ago. Oh, or 2 years ago, they'd take you right off it. But I see all these MGTOW titles now as I search for MGTOW. I was looking for this one fellow who started a YouTube channel more than a year ago, and he was hamming it up, and I encouraged him to take it over the top, and I unsubscribed because I got kind of tired of it. Now I can't find him, and I'm thinking he's gone. They might have taken him down. He actually had a great sense of humor and showmanship, and I told him, take it to an extreme. You'll get more attention. He sure did. I guess I set him loose, basically. Created a monster out of him. Society is in bad shape. Men are running away from marriage, and women can't get men's attention even anymore. This is what's happened when you institutionalize a power differential to the extent that our keepers have done it. Oh yeah, they're behind the destruction of our society. They don't want stable families. I can tell you that there was a man who came along who corrected all that. And then they made him out to be the most evil, vile, wicked man that ever existed. And the fact is the women loved him. Why? because he gave them their families. He gave them their houses. He gave them their children. He gave their husbands work out of the house, work that paid well. He violated the norms established in a lifetime work published in 1934 by a social psychiatrist named Unwin, Unwin. He finished his lifetime work in 1932, but he wanted to make sure that he was right, so he waited 2 years to publish. So he published in 1934, Sex and Culture. You can get it on the internet, it's free. It's a long book, about 750 pages. But I think it's in the public domain pretty much. And Dr. Unwin came to two conclusions. Now, I argued with my brother yesterday that Dr. Unwin was wrong. Actually, I argued with my older brother about that maybe a year ago, and he set me right and told me how I was wrong. And now Unwin was right. So I'm going to write myself a little book on this thing. Basically, the United States of America is subject to extermination. According to the laws that Professor Unwin uncovered, that if we keep going the way we're going, America will disappear from the face of the earth completely. The culture will be completely gone. Yeah, and the evil ones will have done it to us. Why is that? We lit them in the borders. They pretended they were victims. The world's greatest victims. And we were suckered into believing them on that. So now, those people that we sought to defend, by rendering us defenseless, that's right, we lowered our shields and let them in. They've gone after us every which way they can. They are waging unlimited war against America and Americans, and against the America ideal. They can't wait for us to blow away, to dry up, blow away like dust in the wind and be gone. I don't think that's going to happen. But here's the problem. The women still are holding on to their ideas and ideals which do not work, will not work, do not make sense except in their la-la land minds. It's not the reality, honey. I was in Mexico recently, standing there for 2.5 hours in line to get across the border. And there was two couples near me, and I just said casually, I don't know whether that wall is beautiful or ugly. The one woman says to me, oh, it's ugly. It's ugly. I said, are you sure? Oh, yes, I'm sure. For sure it's ugly, because they can just throw a, 41-foot ladder over a 40-foot wall. And as far as she was concerned, that wall should be gone. And I looked at her, and I just kept my mouth shut, because I realized I'm dealing with a dumbass. She's stupid. There's no way to explain things to her. She thinks that we need to have open borders. And we have open borders, and it's just a matter of time before the crime level reaches to the point where it affects her personally. And Americans are set up so that we have to turn to the police. We don't dare take matters into our own hands. We don't dare go to fisticuffs. We don't dare harm the other person. We have to abide by the laws, and the law has us paralyzed. So my buddy tells me today that the squatting's happening all over the country, where illegals, that's his word. And I guess that's the word that passes the public test the most. The public wants to call them illegals now. They don't want to call them undocumented, unregistered aliens, or whatever the hell. They're tired of that euphemism. You know, that stuff that helps the problem get worse. The sad thing is America's going to be waking up so late that it is going to be horrible bloodshed. And I'm going to tell you right now, the D word will not be part of our vocabulary at that point. We aren't going to waste our money deporting them. No, we aren't. We're going to have to actually dispatch them on the spot. We aren't going to bother paying for their plane reservations anymore or paying anything for them. I'm afraid to tell you what's really on my mind because it's censorable. It is censorable. I mean, I don't like the idea of 2 bullets. But I'll be honest, I don't want to waste more than that on them. 22 shorts at that. We have a problem. And at some point, we're going to be completely overwhelmed. And it's going to break down to the point where there's going to be total chaos. Total chaos. Crime everywhere. And the police will come in and tell you, it's a civil matter. You'll have to go to the courts. What? They were here for just the weekend? You were gone for the weekend and they moved in? Well, no matter. It's a civil matter. You'll have to take it to court. And you. Oh, our guest. Oh, yes. Here's a card. Here's a referral to legal services. So we dumbasses get to pay for your attorneys. But you won't be going to court for a full year. Till then, you can live here rent-free. Oh, you were just here for the weekend? Well, the moment you leave, it's theirs again. Oh, you're going to stay, are you? Oh, that's awfully nice of you to give our attorneys some work at the expense of the American taxpayer. We can just keep printing money out of thin air, debasing our currency, lowering the value of the currency, collapsing the currency, robbing the old folks of their retirement fund values, robbing those people who have saved and scrimped really hard of any value from their hard-earned savings. Oh yeah, well, we can do that. That's no problem. I know. They call it inflation, but it's really theft. You're allowing the criminality, and you're dumbasses. And you women out there think the men are going to protect you. I'm sorry, you got us into this trouble. As far as I can tell, you're the ones that put the current president in office. And I'm not talking about the white jackass or whoever the white actor is that pretends to be the white jackass, who Jill pretends is her husband. I don't think Biden's alive. I don't really know. But I also think that this is Barack Obama's 3rd term as president. You people better suck it up real good. And get ready, because they're going to steal this next election too. Your boy, and Adrian Fontes in Arizona is counting the vote this time. He's the one that invented this election fraud system that gave you Barack Obama, that gave you Biden. Good God. And Kamala, as my physician friend used to say. How evil, how bad. I bet she gets a mean Willie. That's how she got her way into office. Even Willie Brown in California told us, you don't want her in office. I think she's a British agent, to be honest with you. Just like Barack Obama is a British agent. I think the King of England is happy. He's passing away happy because he's going to die soon, knowing he took down America and it's just a matter of time. What, did you think I was going to finger the Jews again? What the hell's wrong with you, man? Is that all that's on your mind? Isaiah said there's good figs and bad figs. You go separate them out. That ain't my job. I'm not going to do that. I just had my Jewish handler chime in. Text message a little bit ago. I asked her if she would be my Jewish handler if I become president. Because, you know, it's an American tradition. You got to have a Jewish handler. You can't be president. So I made sure to ask her. I felt like I had been to Jared. And she said yes. She's brilliant. She's bright. She's brainy. She's got a kind of a colorful past. And she spits it up honestly and truthfully. Honestly, I don't mind feedback from such an individual. She's actually kind. I don't tease her all that hard, mind you. You know, but all I can tell you is that she's Jewish. She's my friend. I got some friends out there that will not hold to that, and I'll probably lose a couple of subscribers over that statement right there. But I like what my older brother says, who's been reading the Bible longer than I have. If they're not kind, have nothing to do with them. Israel is not kind. They're playing a wicked game over there. And as Congressman, the very Honorable James Traficant declared publicly, because they went after him and framed him up, something about watches. They framed his ass up to put him in prison. America is Israel's bitch. I don't like saying it. That's what the gentleman said. That's what the honorable, noble congressman said before they murdered him. There was no accident. Men dressed in black rushed to that property and made sure that tractor went right on him squarely. Ruled a freak accident maybe, or an accident, but not ruled a homicide. These guys are professional killers, man. They can't get caught. Their reputations are at stake. They've got standards to uphold. If you're a young woman, the number one thing I'm going to tell you is you form a good relationship with your father. You make that relationship happen. Like Hannah Barron. I mean, her parents divorced. She's got a real strong relationship with her father. Don't get me wrong, that doesn't exactly make her marriage material unsafe for any man. I don't think she is. And besides that, she's getting too old. She's 24. That's right, ladies, that's too old. It's too old. You have lost a lot of your marketing value. And I hate to use the word sexual market value because I don't think it's strictly a sexual thing. It's a family thing. A man wants a woman who's young and can have children. He wants a woman that doesn't have college debt. He doesn't want a professional that he's got to compete with. He doesn't want a feminist that's in his face. And above all, he doesn't want somebody cuckolding him like Eve did to Adam. But the problem is, you women are told it's okay. What's good for the goose, good for the gander, right? No, it's not. We're built differently. Your chemistry is a lot different than my chemistry. Your chemistry requires a lot more balancing, and it's a lot harder to maintain. That's why you need to be protected. So that you can be a woman, so that you can stay balanced and poised. It's like wearing a crown. I hate to say that because that'll go to your head for sure. You all want to be princesses, and you're told not to settle. And you monkey branch up all the time. You don't hesitate. Not much. Not much. If a black athlete comes along, you'll hop to it just like that. You'll make sure to service him and make sure to get impregnated by him because that's your ticket to ride, man. I mean, that's a successful, I can't say it. My older psychologist friend who's a female, She spoke very candidly about that stuff, but I don't want to get censored by repeating her. I've repeated her too much. The conning and the deception on this planet are outrageous. Thank God more states are requiring paternity tests. Did you know 1/3 of us are born to fathers other than the father that the mother puts down on a birth certificate? Paternity fraud. I think it should be a crime. I think it should be a felony. Going to put your ass in prison for at least a year if you commit paternity fraud. But we avoid that by doing DNA tests, simple blood tests. And the women are up in arms because they don't want the truth out there. They want to be able to screw around and stick it to the man that they want to stick it to. So they can go have sex with the guy who's really a stallion in bed, but they can go to the other guy who's got the money coming in and support their asses. That's why MGTOW's growing. You can't trust them. In the courts, you can trust them. They're going to give everything to the woman no matter what she does, no matter what she's done, because she's a victim. So she gets half, or in my state, she gets more than half of everything. It's the law. Dumbasses in Alaska. A woman gets 55% of the community property. How do I know that? My sister told me that. She bragged about it because she got Ron for 55%. Hell, woman, you destroyed your life. You destroyed your family. You destroyed your marriage, and you worked at it real good. I'll tell you right now, Ron called me up. I liked him. He was a good man. Ron was knocking down so much money. Sweetie, and you didn't think it was good enough because you're looking over at your sister-in-law. My God, the guy was partners in a marketing business there. I mean, they could afford $500 a night hotel rooms in Hawaii like it was nothing. Hell, his Porsche broke down and stranded him in the street. What did he do? Screw getting it fixed. He went and got himself a Mercedes S-Class, a 500S. He could walk in and just buy it. And you're upset because your husband won't let you keep, what were those damn stupid watches? $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. Oh, this one's, I'm just wearing it for a little while. He won't let me keep it. I have to take it back to Nordstrom's. Take it back to Nordy's. You selfish. Yeah, I'm not going to use either word on you, but I think at this point, Mom might even use the C word on your ass, not the B word. She used the C word, yeah. You ruined your own marriage. Ron called me up and told me the full truth. You kicked him out for the 6th time. Here he is working up on the top floor of a major oil company, making big bucks on the same floor as the president's office. He's got to go to work in a starched shirt, tie, leather shoes, leather belt. He's got to dress up. He's saving them big bucks. He's knocking down big bucks. Hell, I think he was knocking down $250,000 a year 30 years ago. That wasn't good enough for you. Built you that big house on Spinnaker? How many levels was that son of a bitch? Boy, I don't think it was 3. It was at least 2. I know. I helped paint the thing. We finished it off with that, whatever it was. Beautiful house. Beautiful neighborhood. But it wasn't good enough. And you kicked him out of the house for the 6th time. And he told me when he went home, he told you, if you kicked him out, he said, Norma, you kicked me out again, I'm not coming back. He gave you notice. And what did you do, you dumbass? What did your dumbass do? You kicked him out for time number 7. And who did he hook up with? He hooked up with a woman who was making more money than he made. He hooked up with the head of human resources there at work. You let that woman, and I can be critical of her, but I won't be. You let that woman take your husband away from you. You let that woman lie and wait all those years that he probably confided in her because you were you were so rough on him. That's what's going on to a large extent in our society today. Stuff like that. Sadly, Ron passed away early. When I saw the last video of him, I could barely believe it was him. Ron Kerr. If he had a son, what we were going to call him? Joe Kerr? He had a good sense of humor. Yes, he had a drinking problem, but you know something? He actually was pretty much on top of it. I know. I was there. I saw him. He had his drinking under control. He was one of the few that actually could do that. But at the end, you were hounding him so badly, you drove him back to the bottle again. And sadly, his daughter and his new wife didn't step in early enough or hard enough. And it didn't take him long to drink himself into a horrible, swollen, horrible state. And he died young. Of course, his father died young, and Ron said he was always going to die young. But he had edema, so bloated, ashen, and I wouldn't have recognized him except for his voice. That's all I could recognize him. Wishing his niece Sabrina a happy birthday. He was a good man. I mean, I don't think I could have picked better for you. I mean, if you had turned to me to help you find a suitable husband, my God, you had him. Then you blew it. I bet you thought you could do better. That's the way all these women think today. I'm going to toss this one back because I think I can do better. You see, women have been lied to and deceived. Deceived to the point where you think, well, I can trade this one at any time. You know, I mean, I was told not to settle. So I can go back and do some more. It doesn't matter what I do. The court's going to award me more than half of the goodies for my bad behavior in breaching the contract. There's no more marriage contract. The courts are screwed up. Who screwed the courts up? Your bar association. British Accreditation Regency. The Crown of England rules to his bar association. America is still in chains to this very day. Since 1813, the British monarchy has had America in chains. We're still in chains to the British. Don't believe me? Go ask King Charles. He might even have the audacity to fess up. If you're a young woman, make that relationship with your father happen no matter what. Now, I give you this advice because I didn't have a good relationship with my father for a long time. And I busted my ass to get a good relationship with him. And I'm glad I did that. It did me a lot of good. It really did. But it cost me a lot. It took 5 years before he would have a conversation with me. 5 years of my hard work. I started about age 35. That's just the first part. Love your father. You make that relationship happen, not him. You do it. The child develops mastery by bridging that gap. Daughters do it easiest and best and need it. A safe man to reflect your femininity off and develop as a woman, stable, successful, having a long life. So, if you're really a smart woman, you will turn to your father when you think you're ready to marry, when you're beginning to think about it. You need to go up and say, Daddy, I need your help. Would you help me? I mean, I love you, Daddy. I respect you. I mean, you know, but I'm coming of age and I want to get married. And I don't want just anybody. Daddy, would you help me pick out a husband? Would you find a suitable husband for me? Would you find somebody, a good husband? You put that load on your father. You put that responsibility on your father. You'll bring him to tears. I'm going to tell you that right now. He might not cry in front of you, but he's going to go cry somewhere. And I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to commit to doing the best job possible for you. But you don't think he's going to do the best job he can for his daughter? Oh, yes, he will. And if he's a smart man, when he finds that young man and everything's a go, and he gives you to your husband, he's going to back off. And when you go to Daddy again for advice, you're a married woman, Daddy should say, I think I'll let your husband take care of this one for you. You see, you're supposed to be under the protection of a man. Your father until you're old enough to marry, and he gives his daughter away in marriage. It's important. That giving part is important. You see, in the Bible in the old days, the bad guys took all they wanted for wives. Took them. And some men today claim that they went along with it. They were happy with that. No. One friend of mine who had one of the hardest lives I've ever heard of. Oh yeah, it was harder than mine. I gotta tell you, I listened to him and my heart went out, and he still suffers a lot. Randy is kind of a big brother to me in many ways. Randy had it very rough. Randy pointed out, you're given in marriage. Your father gives you in marriage. You want to choose for yourself? You want to do that tradition? Wow. I pity the man that marries you. You need the adults, the wisdom of the adults. If the adults support your marriage, I mean, if you've got your mother and your father in agreement, if you've got his mother and his father in agreement, whoa, you've got a foundation. And if the rest of the family chimes in and approves as well, man, you're locked in. That's the stability you want and you need. Daddy only wants the best for his little girl, and believe me, Mom wants to be there for you when you're having your first child. Age of consent, age of marriage. It's lower for a woman than a man. She matures earlier, sooner. She's ready sooner. A man is kind of slow growth. We aren't ready. A man's really got to be 25 before he's ready. A woman, on the other hand, she's ready at 18. Can be. Some women never grow up. Some men never grow up. But I'm going to tell you the guidelines right now. You want to marry by age 22. If you can have your wedding, you want to be over 21. Yeah, it's a long time, especially if you're waiting and you want to wait. Makes a difference. The people that wait, their first marriages tend to last. They don't divorce anywhere near as much as the rest. The only reason the divorce rate's so high is because these other people treat it like it's a hobby. They get married left and right. My God, I had a guy come into therapy when I was in Mississippi. He had been married 7 times and he was getting ready for his 8th wedding. Reminds me of the woman I tried to marry. I feel ashamed to think about which husband number I was. I didn't check that one out very well before getting into it. She didn't tell me the truth anyway. I want you married by age 22. You see, there's no one that's any good that's over the age of 23. That's right. The best wife material for the longest marriages, having a family, having fidelity, and having long companionship together into old age, with a woman that's 23 or younger. So when I tell you Hannah Barrett is too old, she's 24. I think she's precious as a button. But she's too busy with her success and raking in big bucks that she don't need no man. She got her daddy. I would love for her to surprise the rest of us and find a really nice man. I'd love for her to actually let her father find and approve the man. And I'd love for her to set an example for you all out there. She could help a lot of women by that example. When I heard that voice for the first time, she melted my heart. Yeah, I know I'm an old man. I'm old enough to be her grandfather. Not her father, grandfather. Let's face it. Let's be honest about it. And she put some makeup and a dress on recently, and I hardly recognized her. I liked her better when she was all mudded up with minimal makeup and, noodle and fish, half exposed. Okay, I admit that, but she's athletic. What can one say? She's attractive and she's athletic. And she's got character. Okay, so much for her. Whatever. I got the hots for Hannah Barron. I'll admit it right now. I find that woman attractive. Thank God she's over 21, though. My friends are telling me, doesn't matter about the age. I'm like, oh yeah, it does. It matters. Young ladies, you want to get married as soon as you can. You don't need to go to college to find a man. A man does not want a wife with college debt. And a lot of you go to college and then get married and dump the debt on the man and leave him with the debt because you can get away with it. The judge will let you dump your debt on that man. He'll be saddled and he won't be able to dig himself out. So he's not attractive to anyone else. You have wrecked his life. You've stolen from him, basically. And the judge ordered it. It's not very fair. So, men, if you're meeting a young lady and she's got college debt, walk away. Just tell her, you take care of that debt. Go to work. Pay it off. No, you don't want a professional woman. You want a woman who wants to be a woman, who wants to be a mother to your children, and who wants to be a team player, who wants to work with you. A woman who will never embarrass you publicly. will always, always, if there's something to be discussed that's sensitive, will take you in private and discuss it. And if she senses something is wrong, she'll always go to you and tell you, hey, baby, something don't feel right about this. I just wanted you to know my thoughts on this. You need to get her input, man, because she's got a totally different perspective than you have, than I have. Don't cut that off. Don't deprive yourself of that wealth, of that female perspective. She'll watch out for you. Some ways better than you watch out for yourself. Another thing is that she can actually do battle in ways you can't. Especially against another woman who's going up against you. A wife will defend you. Can defend you. That's the women are more competitive than we are. They're more violent, more vicious. They don't play fair. I want you young ladies to marry, and marry well, and marry early. And I want you to have children. I want you to have families. I want you to be totally, completely fulfilled. Not only that, I don't want you alone in your old age. You'll probably outlive your husband no matter what. But at least then you'll have children around to dote on you. And ladies, you know doggone well that if you got sons, you're going to have them around. They're going to watch out for mom. That's all there is to it. That mother-son bond is kind of special. She insists on being pet. She's been really patient. Oh, come on. Okay. Oh, I didn't invite you up this time. You might scare them with that nose of yours up there. Okay, I'll get the message. I got the message. All right. I'm being drafted. And the deal is she lets me know and I'm at her command. Wish I had a woman who loved me half as much as my dog loves me. I don't think I want a woman loving me quite as much as the dog does. It's already pretty creepy anyway. She's a female, and female dogs and male owners, male masters, that's I know a lot of dog owners who like that combination. They want females only, and I don't know. It's just a little different kind of bond. I was hoping to have a pair of these, but I realize I'm just a one-dog man. So she gets all the attention, all the love. Ladies, don't you want to be a one-man woman? To have one man your entire life? Did you realize that the chemistry, the bond that you have with your partner, your first sexual partner, is very strong, and it's your biology. It's your chemistry. It's a delicate chemistry. And when you have your second partner, you weaken your own chemistry. Your own ability to bond with a man is weaker. You dilute it. You adulterate your body chemistry. And by the time you've had 5 different men, put it up there, make sure you get it right. That's it. You have burnt out your chemical pathways that allow you to bond naturally to any man. From there forward, it's going to be like being a dope addict, a drug addict. You're going to have to commit to your values every day and fight to stay loyal. So you want to fight the rest of your life with yourself? Or do you want to just wait for the right guy and form a bond and have it lifetime in sickness and in health? Somebody that's always there to watch your back? Man, there's nothing Nothing more I enjoy seeing than these old couples. I know, they're older than I am. They're together. And you can tell they never leave each other's side. They're always whispering and talking to one another. They're in it together. And you can bet when one of them goes into the doctor's office, the other one's with them, as they should be, because you can't trust these doctors at all. You don't let each other out of your sights. That's why there's that protection that the courts recognize. They can't make a spouse testify against another spouse. It's only natural. Okay, by the time you're 30 years old, ladies, you've lost half of your fertility or more. With the load that we're all under from the pesticides, the heavy metals especially, and the molds and toxins and whatever the hell it is they're spraying us with today, and whatever they're putting in the food, the water, or in the clothing, or in the walls, and the building materials, in the drugs, and the food. Life is short. It's supposed to be 120 years long. But it's shorter than that. Because the evil one and his children own the planet. They've taken over America. They poison us on purpose. This is all by design. Nothing's by accident. Now I have to be careful because YouTube got upset when I said something about cancer. And I did finally, make up for it. I told you about the World Health Organization, the leading medical doctor, and his findings. All cancers in man and animals are caused by mycotoxins. Go look up mycotoxins. I want you to lead the best life you can, regardless of what has happened to you. That's the greatest revenge. The childhood I had, and the adulthood for that matter, was such that I could have turned out any which way. Yeah, could have been a really bad dude. But for some reason, I chose the good rather than the bad. My mother wasn't very nice to me. My uncle's mother wasn't very nice to him. It runs in the family. And I understand its impact upon my uncle, who recently passed away. And I understand its impact upon me. I am the oldest Kent alive today. My uncle made it to 98. He was the oldest Kent in history. I'd like to say he had his wits about him, and he did. But his personality was fragmented, shattered. He was going in and out of personality like you would not believe. And I could barely keep up with him. And I thought maybe he had a touch of dementia. Oh, hell no. He went into this one personality on the side for me and told me what was going on with a high degree of energy. More than my energy. 20 years. Well, more than 20 years younger than him. Hell. Shoot, 32, 33 years younger than him. He had more energy than I had when he went into that personality. And he was sharp. He was competitive, and he spit out the truth as to what was going on around him and around me and around the leeches that were leeching off him. He was aware of all of that. I sat there, never feeling so impotent in my life as I did right then. Because here I am, I'm a psychologist, a clinical psychologist, with some incredible training. I got some talents. Got some limitations too, but I got some talents. And I sat there helpless because I couldn't help this man. I couldn't do anything for my own uncle. He told me he wanted to go see his attorney. 3 nights in a row, 3 days in a row. He wanted to go see his attorney. Why? Because his wife forced him to leave his family out of the will. He wanted to go back there to put me and my brother back in the will. But he told me something. He said I wouldn't be welcome there. Why would I not be welcome there? I mean, I already know that it's his will, and I already know he's going to be doing it with the attorney. I'm not going to be in that room. But it turns out the other parties were always in the room, always putting the screws to my uncle. And I swear the other attorney was in on it. Do you know how much he was worth? I don't either. I just know. He lost $1 million one day last year in the stock market. Yeah, you go do the research. I did the research. My uncle saved as much as he could. And the crazy thing about it is that his wife, his second wife, was worth more than he was. She, her husband, had owned like half of downtown Dover, New Hampshire. And they sold that property. I think when they got married, my uncle told me she told me he forced her to sell her house, and he sold his house. He used his house to buy the house they lived in, and he refused to take any of her money for the house that he bought for them to live in. He insisted they keep everything separate. Except at the end, they ganged up on him and they deceived him, and they kept me away from him. Least I interfere with their shenanigans and their plan to steal it all. You see, my uncle was holding my inheritance from my grandfather for me. My uncle and my first aunt, his first wife, were heartbroken. They called me up, said, you need to take this. This is your property. This is your inheritance. This is yours. And the problem I had at the time was I was a starving musician, and I wasn't able to support myself very well. And I certainly couldn't afford the property taxes, and I had no way to get down there and to live and to defend the property. And every year, the college students at South Newmarket, whatever the hell they call it in Durham, they'd burn the cabin down. Now, it was 15 acres or 19 acres, depending on whether you measured it at high tide or low tide. I know it sounds like it's waterfront property. It sounds wonderful. It was just a marsh. You know, we had some waterfowl on there. It's right next to Adams Point, and we had a natural spring on the land. I used to go there with my grandfather all the time. We walked the property, and he told me that was mine. I was 11 years old at the time, 12 years old. My dad, his dad, me, we all walked. They had me in between them. And I remember there was an immature seagull took off, and I asked what kind of bird that was, and my grandfather says, I'll tell you in a minute. Let's walk. Let's walk the property. So we walked it. And we got out of earshot for the women, and then he told me the name of the bird. So he didn't want to use that word in front of the ladies. We treated them delicately back then, so it was not proper to say shit poke in front of the women. My grandfather told me a few other things too. I remember it but I wish I had understood what the heck he was talking about. I loved my grandmother's, and she was a college-educated woman. It was wonderful to talk with her. I learned a lot. And he told me, sooner or later, you're going to learn that all women are crazy. This is my dad and my father telling me this. And my young dumbass is listening going, what about Gran? And he cut me off before I could say Grandma. He said, all women are crazy. She was college educated and he had a 6th grade education. She graduated from Mount Holyoke College in 1917. One of 3 sisters, all college educated by their father. Father insisted on higher education for all of his children. But the main part of the story was that that was my inheritance. And my uncle and my aunt wanted my permission to sell it and use that money towards their new house in Rollinsford. They were moving from Newmarket. And my uncle told me, he promised me, he assured me, I'll take care of you later. So that's all I want. Now, he made a bundle in the stock market. I mean, a bundle. Lost $1 million in one day. I did the math, how much he had to have on average, and 6 months later he had picked up 15 or 16 million. So, well, nah, it wasn't that much. Couldn't have been that much. Yeah, it actually was, because they set records that year. That was last year, by the way. So that would have been January 1st was the biggest drop in the stock market. It was 4% that one day, which meant on average to lose $1 million, a man would have had to have $44 million in the stock market. Now, mind you, my uncle was very, very sharp at this stuff. He played it hard, and he knew what he was doing. So I would say he probably had more than that, like much more than that. Yet his wife Goldie was worth even more money. So here I am, trying to maintain the Kent family, trying to work with my brother on this to secure the inheritance that he and I were supposed to get. My brother didn't know about my part of the inheritance at all. And I'm in there fighting for him too, because he's family. Turned his back on me. He went after me. Went after me with the days. And he stole from me. And he mismanaged the first inheritance from our parents anyway. He did a horrible job in that. He would not listen to my requests. And actually, he did listen to my request. He just wouldn't honor a single one of my requests. Said no to everything. Didn't make sense. Contributed to my loss down the road, which was pretty bad. I had other help with that, but that's for another time. Folks, the mistake in the Declaration of July 4th, 1776, which we later called the Declaration of Independence, the mistake that Thomas Jefferson made was in the final clause. The pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. The original draft was estate. So a man had rights to pursue life, defend his life, liberty, live the way he wanted, and estate, to amass an estate. That's what's supposed to be on the Declaration of Independence. Why did they swap it out? Because they were afraid it would offend some people. Because some were offended by slavery. Some states had slavery then. And by the way, the first slave owner in the Americas was in the state of Virginia. The man's last name was Johnson. Johnson went to court. He had an indentured servant who had escaped, if you will, ran away 2 times, 3 times, went back to court, and the judge made this indentured servant his permanent slave. That's how slavery became legal. And by the way, just for the record, the indentured servant was a white guy. I hate using the term white, it's racist. He was a Caucasian. And the slave owner, Mr. Johnson, was a black man. He had come over as an indentured servant, worked his way free, and bought himself slaves, or indentured servants. You see, passage to the New World was expensive. A man was willing to give a couple of years of his life and his labor for passage to earn his way over, to get a fresh start. May Yahweh blessed. I don't know what to call this. I'm going to have to think about this. And I really don't like airing my dirty laundry, my family's dirty laundry in public, but America's at stake at this point, and my life has been very much a reflection of America. Yeah, I'm the old bird, the old buzzard. I got a job to do. So in case you want to pray for me, pray that my stomach gets settled down, my blood pressure evens out, and I have 2 giants to take on. Not one, baby. I got 2 of them to take on. And I got the death threat last week. My childhood sandbox friend tells me he thinks it's artificial intelligence. And of course, he says, I promise you it didn't come from me, which was a good joke. But I don't care if it was artificial intelligence. It's the motive behind it that counts. And I looked up the name associated with the phone number, and it was Berkowitz. Have you ever heard of the name Berkowitz? Why would they associate it with the name Berkowitz? Oh, you remember the serial killer who used a large caliber revolver at point blank range on his female victims? At least that's who they framed up, because it was a death cult. And they pinned it all on their Patsy, the son of Sam. Yeah, they're after me. Fine. Not so fine. I filed my police report. They come from Connecticut. I don't think Connecticut's anywhere near Alaska. Sadly, because I wrote Don Day, he's got my address. They know where I'm at. I ain't running. I ain't hiding. I'm going to go on my feet. I'm not going to go whimpering off. I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to threaten either. But I beg you out there to pray for me, because I got to slay 2 Goliaths, not 1. And neither one of these is going to go down lightly. So pray for me, please. Yahweh, bless me that I might carry out your will. Yes, Yahweh, I know you set everything up for this life that I've been leading. Yes, I chose. I finally started making good choices, and yet you're still in charge of my steps. I accept that. Give me the resources. Give me the will. Your will. Make the way for me, that I might accomplish the missions, the tasks to which you've assigned your servant.